instructor, the lead trainer?
I remember everything like it was yesterday. The only thing I'm having trouble with now is with the names.
Yeah.
The names are hard to come by, but almost everything I remember just like if it was yesterday.
Well, do you remember any of your training jumps?
Yes, of course, if I recall correct, we made 7 train jumps, and it was everything that I expected.
Anything unusual happen in your training jumps?
No, except the refresher course on my second year.
What happened there?
I went out of the Ford tri-motor, and I didn't quite like the exit door, and I guess that bothered me. So when I went out as a second man, I missed a stirrup, and so I couldn't get my boot back to the stirrup, and I knew I was losing time. So I said, well, I don't have no choice except to go out. So I went out pretty much head first. And unfortunately, it did affect the opening, and must have went through it or whatever, because I ended up with a Mae West. And unfortunately, as I inspected my canopy, I had 2 lines over the canopy, and 1 line busted just dangling, and that kind of shook me up, because I never seen that or heard of that before. And so anyway, I said, well, I have to pull my reserve. And the trainer down below with a list of who's who, and he had a bullhorn. His name was McDaniel, but I call him Mac, Big Mac. And old Big Mac was yelling on the bullhorn, Musquez, pull your reserve, pull your reserve. And I could hear him, and I knew I had to do it, but I thought I have to find out what I have to follow through with the rest of it. But I couldn't get all the lines to open and to see exactly, and I did know that there were 3 lines that were messed up anyway. I said, I'll never get it loose. And so I said, okay, I have to pull a reserve because I'm being told. So I go through the procedure, and I throw the canopy as far as I could, and I don't know what happened, but it just went straight down. And then I had 2 problems. I was trying to open that one, pulling it up, grabbing the skirt and get some air in it, and it just wouldn't do it. So eventually I looked down, and the tree line was coming up pretty fast. The trucks and everybody down below was looking the normal size. So I said, well, I'm going to have to prepare for my best PLF ever. And so I did. I made a perfect PLF, and I pulled down on the risers to give me a little support. And when I made the PLF, both canopies fell on top of me. So that's what messed me up, not the PLF. Yeah. So it was quite an experience. But the procedure was, both military and with a Smokejumper, that when something like that happened, they just got the jumper back up as soon as possible and made another run and let him go out. And I did, so the second one went out pretty good. So I was number 1 then.
So do you remember any fires from that first year?
Yes. Of course, I didn't make too many, of course. Both seasons were kind of very, very low on fires. But a big experience was we were called on a 6-man fire to Redding, California. So we got ready, loaded up and everything, and we flew across the states and landed at Redding. And it was late evening, and so the squad leaders got their briefing from Redding, and so then they broke it into two men fires. Ours was the largest, so there were four of us on that one. And so some of them, I remember they jumped at the base of Mount Shasta, and we jumped off a little bit farther in the Trinity National Forest. And we heard that everything went fine as far as the jump was concerned. And we heard that the ground crew had started the morning that Missoula got the call for help. The ground crew started out to the fire. We made the jump that evening. We controlled the fire that night. And the next morning, we were just sort of mopping up, and the ground crew showed up. It was about 11 o'clock in the morning when they made it up. That's how rugged the country was with manzanita and different bushes that are pretty thick. Yeah, that was one of my best jumps that I recall. I made, I have a list somewhere, but I can't recall exactly. I remember I had a friend in the group. We trained together. His name was Robin Twogood. You ever heard of Robin Twogood?
I know some of the Twogood family. I never heard of him.
Never heard of him?
No.
He was a cowboy.
From the Bitterroot?
Yeah, from the Bitterroot. And he always wore his cowboy hat. So if we went on a fire jump, he would put his hand under the jacket, you know. And as soon as he landed, he threw the helmet and put the cowboy hat on. So there's one jump. It was in I don't think it was the Bitterroot, but it was nearby. It wasn't too far from Missoula. And we jumped, and I was already on the ground getting my chute packed up. And here comes Robin, and he hit a snag, and the chute hung up there. And I'm down there, I says, Robin, I says, get ready for a field lift, because I could see that the limb that caught the deal was just a swaying, and I figured that it was going to break. I said, get ready for a landing, and he was hooping and hollering, yay, made it, you know. So about that time, that limb broke, and down he came, boom. That was kind of funny. I said, are you okay? He said, yeah, man, that was a great jump. Oh, Robin Twogood, yeah. And I made several other jumps, and they all went wonderful. Except on my second year, 57, we jumped in a 16-man fire in the Salmon River. Oh, I'll back up a little bit. We jumped, my first jump was with Joe Gotaski. He was the squad leader. It was a 4-man fire. And we jumped not too far from the, oh my goodness, I can't recall what they call that station down there. Well, there was an old man and an old lady that lived there.
Lance Bar? On the Salmon? Lance Bar?
On the Salmon, yeah. That one. And so the fire was up from there, up in the gully. And we jumped, the jump went great. But as we started to gather things and set up the base camp, there was a creek right there. So it was a perfect spot for base camp. But right away we heard buzzing, rattlesnakes. Everywhere you looked there was a rattlesnake. But luckily that we took care of the fire, and we got ready to leave, and we got word that the packers were coming in because being so close to the ranch. So we looked out, we put the fire out, didn't get any problem from the snakes. And I recall it because I love the outdoors and to fix your meals out there, you know, by the creek and all that. Oh, that was something that I'll never forget. Wonderful. That was my first fire. But the one that busted me was a 16-man fire further up in the Salmon. I forget the name of the fire at present. And I just hit on the side of the ridge, and my foot got caught between two rocks. And when I rolled downhill, my foot wouldn't get loose from the rocks, so it just twisted and broke it. I said, oh my goodness. So anyway, needless to say, I didn't work very much on that fire.
What happened though? So you got hurt and you're in your